What you got for the people here? For the people out there?
Well, as usual, we have the stimulus check.
Let me zoom in on that, brother. Hold on, let me zoom in on that.
We have the stimulus check that you actually write the angel in an angel list. You write your guardian angel right here, and I think this says additional income on this side. You put it in glass. We have that. We also have that goes along with it. We also have
the purple
disc. And with that stimulus check also comes seals that you can put in your wallet, magical seals. That looks like this, magical seals. And you put that in your wallet. And the number 8 that you could also put in your wallet also.
Right.
And so that's the stimulus package. We also have a picture packet with over 65 or 67 pictures of the gods, but we also have this. Is the new thing out.
Yeah, that's nice right there.
And this is the magical mirror. Plus it also has the third eye. Also has the third eye ritual.
Shot of that. Yeah, that's nice.
Yes.
It's clean. Y'all gotta
the magical
get this.
Mirror.
Y'all gotta get this. Y'all see this
here? This is sold separately, or it's also included in the picture packet also.
Okay.
So you can get all of this stuff.
What's that right there?
This is just the third eye ritual. You can actually say this third eye ritual also. When you get the actual magical seal. We also have a cosmic wound CD for healing and renewing yourself. We also have the Ganesha mantra, which also brings you prosperity. Also. So you can also get this at
what's the number?
678-358-1055. And you just call down and we sell everything. Angelic Stimulus Packets, DVDs, rare and ancient picture packets. And the new edition is what is called the Eye of Heru Magic Mirror.
Okay. Alright, this is going on YouTube, so it's going to be seen all over the world, Bobby.
Right. That's 678-358-1055. Come get your stuff today.
All right. Good.
Yeah.
Right there, yeah.
What does this look like to you? Look at the spiral on it. This is known as ayahuasca. It looks like the DNA.
Oh, yeah.
See the spiral?
Yeah.
In ancient Kemet and pre-Islamic so-called Middle East, there's an herb that was used to protect against the evil eye. It was used to magnify your telepathic abilities, to receive and transmit. In the Latin name, it is called Syrian rue. It's in the family of coffee. You can take a piece, pass it around. Get familiar with it. It is used throughout the world. Treatment and prevention of Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. Now the funny thing I was thinking about this morning was melatonin and melanin. It sounds like a real close connection. Melanin, melatonin, melanin, melatonin. This herb, when prepared correctly, amplifies the production of melatonin, which is the opening of the first eye. Your pineal gland needs certain herbs. This one is called Syrian rue. It is time, family. We got 2012 around the corner. It is time for you to start getting into certain sacred herbs that you don't have to worry about the police coming and putting handcuffs on you while you're cooking it over your pot. Because I know many of us are herbal shocked, concerned about that. This is legal. All right? You will find it in certain stores that are from Iran. It's called Esphand. E-S-P-H. A-N-D. So I'm going to pass this bag around. What's amazing about this herb is if you put a piece of it in your mouth and try lifting something of heavy weight, it'll feel lighter than it did before you put it in your mouth because it has concentrated light. The North African shamans, this particular herb was represented as a circle with a dot in the middle. Circle with the dot. What is that? In astrology, representing of the sun, the sunshine within. So with Esphand, African Ra, what the plant medicine told us years ago it prefers to be called, will also reduce bacteria and fungus production in the bloodstream. You can take this and place it, once it's prepared correctly, on the skin over your chakras for activation, to know without knowing. What happens with use of African Ra, or what is known as Syrian Rue, or some people call African Rue, is it puts you in a wavelength. Your mind becomes in sync with the pulse and the breath of Mother Earth. In other words, us thinking excessively, called beta state, we become stressed because we're not functioning from our first eye. We're functioning from our false eyes and false operating system. With 2012 around the corner and beyond, it's time to upgrade our operating systems. It's time for all of us everyone here is into computers, right? Raise your hand if you're into computers. Just about everybody. So you understand what I mean when I say operating systems?
Yeah.
In other words, the way we're thinking is quickly becoming obsolete. We have to become intuitively fluent. That is what will save us. Knowing without knowing, like many people who turned away from going to work the morning of 9/11 because their intuition said, go home.
Yes.
Don't come to work. Those who rationalize, use their analytical left brain saying, I got bills, my child's in school. They overridden their primal, superior knowledge. So they went and fulfilled their destiny, unfortunately. So each of us are able, with certain herbs. Now you can combine African Ra with tobacco. This is a nice intro. This is Sacred Herbs 101. All right, we're not going to get deep into ayahuasca. That's another chapter at another day. But it's known as the vine of the soul. It's a spirit herb. I'm going to pass this around so that you can feel it, sense it. And for those of us who are sensitive, connect with it. This is, again, African Ra, or it's known as Syrian Rue. It looks like small little beans. Pass it around, take a few so that you can chew it. Don't worry, you won't see colors or go into altered states. Tobacco has a history throughout the world. I'm holding on to this. You got some energy in here.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, there's some power there.
Oh, it is definitely.
I'm getting pulled into the vortex.
That's a part of the presentation right here.
Tobacco is used as the opening of your awareness to come into the awareness of your heart. the way tobacco is used today is a bent and twisted cyborg mutation of what tobacco was originally used for. It is a hot natured herb, so you have to drink with water, but when you correctly make the concentration to match your body, it's easy for you to have flying dreams after drinking about an ounce or two. How many of us have ever had flying dreams? It's the most beautiful experience. This herb here will help you fly. Nicotiana rustica. So look up wild tobacco online. You can also look up how to prepare it. But the simplest way is 1 bundle to 1 gallon. Chop it up into a food processor. Bring it to a boil. Let simmer for 12 hours. Preferably with music. All right? African raw, Syrian root. I'm going to give you the recipe. Would y'all like it?
Yeah.
First, do not take it if you're pregnant or on medication such as high blood pressure medication. All right? It's known as a myo inhibitor. What that simply means is if your body isn't clean and healthy, don't try to put on the afterburners to take off, because you need to go through the herbal cleansing. Oh, take some out, brother. Each of you take some. Keep it with you. If any of you have a medicine pouch or you have crystals, you place the herbs to create the bridge with the crystals and the sacred herbs. But you're not getting none of my pacho. See, I'm holding on to that. There's a reason for that. With the Syrian root, the best way to start as far as preparation, bake at 350 degrees for approximately 20 to 30 minutes. Then grind down to a powder. You can use a Vitamix. Add to approximately, say, a gallon of water. Say about 6 ounces of raw, African raw, to a gallon of water. Add 1 ounce of lemon juice so that you can change the pH of the water. And when you change the pH of the water, the active elements that's inside this wonderful ancient herb is released into the water. Everybody with me?
Yep.
What this will do with regular use, and it was also used by Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, the mystery schools of ancient Egypt, the shamans of North Africa, it allows you to extend your awareness. So I have available at my table some, not much of it, available in the pineal gland tea. The balance of the herbs are used by Shaolin monks to hear the one-hand clap, to quiet the mind, because often living in the concrete jungle, in the canyon city, our minds start to become overwhelmed with the snow of electronic pollution. Can I get an ashe? Okay. The electronic pollution affects us to be randomly thinking thoughts, experiencing energies, because we are in touch with the low frequency vibrations. By drinking certain sacred herbs such as African raw, such as wild tobacco, you can allow yourself to be raised above the frequencies that are harmful, such as cell phones, such as the computers, such as being in the subway system. So when I began my journey in self-discovery, the first herb that we used to have ceremony with, that was done for thousands of years throughout the world, is tobacco ceremonies in the form of tea, not smoke. Some people throughout the world use smoke, but the majority of indigenous people have used wild tobacco in the form of tea. The following herb, again, take your time, get familiar with it. It is an amazingly wonderful herb that you can add a little bit of honey to sweeten, and some may even realize it tastes similar to coffee. But don't drink a whole lot too much. When you're getting acquainted with herbs, family, you take a little bit, start with 2 or 3 ounces, stay indoors, don't go clubbing. Take the time, treat the herb as a sacred friend. Get acquainted and quiet with gentle music. That's what I want to share tonight, this afternoon. Yes, I do have bottles. Oh, no, can I do that?
Yeah.
Alkaline like nature design. But before I jump to the quartz, is there any questions about the herb? African raw? Everybody took the notes they wanted? For 1 gallon, 1 ounce of lemon juice, no more than 2. Otherwise, you're going to have some African raw lemonade. And then you'll be sharing some of that, and people will be wondering why. See a trailer behind their hand. Why some people might feel, drop the inhibitions a little more. You don't want to go there like that. A lot of us are experiencing emotional stress. We are literally, some people are walking around a living time bomb. And when given certain sacred herbs in a high enough dose or concentration, it's like somebody opened up the trap door and all that stress, back pressure from not being expressive starts to rise. You don't want that. Start easy, okay? We all have times that we have to go out and scream. So if you really want to hit it heavy, once you get familiar with it, go to the beach, to the park, so that you're not in your apartment and you feel so good that you start to scream and holler and somebody call the cops. There's problems in the house. I'm speaking from experience, right? This is all experience. No smoke. We already smoke if we're living in New York City. You're smoking right now because the air coming through those filters is dirty. You look up at the air discharge ducts, you can almost see the soot. So you smoking right now while you're sitting in this lecture hall. Believe me, I'm real familiar with that air supply coming into this building. Right? Other city buildings. So, that is an overview, basics 101 of wild tobacco, African raw, known as Syrian rose. Okay? Now, moving to the blue quartz bottle. My motto for the bottles is called Alkaline Like Nature Design. Simply put, where's all glass from? Sand. When you look at a particle of sand, what do you see? Crystals. Every ocean is surrounded by what? Sand. On the bottom of the ocean is sand. On the sides are quartz, rocks, and the surface, along the edges of the beaches, sand. It's quartz. Every river is surrounded by what? River rocks. On the bottom, on the sides, you go to the Hudson River, you go to the East River, for us locals, you will find huge quartz boulders sitting along the river's edge. And if you, as a kid, you might have sat on there with your bicycle behind you, like I did. It's crystal. New York City is mostly crystal. They still don't understand how the air is ionized in New York City. It's ionized from the quartz in Manhattan, in Brooklyn, Queens, Bronx. Quartz ionizes not only the air, but it alkalizes the water. Quartz, activated quartz, activates water to become alkaline. So if the lights go out, and those of us who are fortunate enough to buy an alkaline machine instead of a car, used car, you can go back to your quartz alkaline bottle. Now, quartz activated glass is the material that I use in the bottle. What that simply means is I put it through an electrical process to awaken the dormant crystal molecules in each bottle. So that when you place water inside the bottle, it will immediately, at the speed of quartz, crystal technology, as you find in your computers, as you find in your wristwatches, as you will find in future transportation, as you will find in our brother Abdur's crystal jewelry. Raise your hand, brother. He does laser alkalinity with his quartz jewelry, activating the quartz with laser technology. That's cutting edge. So that's why I got to give him a shout out. Y'all give him a hand. Genius in our community. Laser is concentrated light. You have to feed crystals to activate them. Crystals used to be fed by a woman's sacred moon essence discharge. You don't take crystals and just use them and snatch them like a Borg off Star Trek. Y'all familiar with Borgs? Half machine, half man. We've come to take and not give. We will assimilate you. Resistance is futile. What you would be considered are the outlaws of the Borg society. Can you got that?
Yeah. Got it.
Independent thinkers? So, anytime you go to elders in the tradition of ancient times, you give offerings. Some would give offerings of tobacco. Your family can come and visit from the south. They would bring pie, iced tea. That tradition has been lost because now we go over to the house and say, what you got to eat? What you got to eat? What you bring? You got to bring something to get something. So with crystals, the way to activate them, clean them with teaspoon. And some people may disagree, but so far this is the most powerful way to clean a crystal. Apple cider vinegar, 4 ounces apple cider vinegar, 2 ounces of sea salt, and about 12 ounces of water. That crystal will be screaming clean. Did you get that? Apple cider vinegar, sea salt, and water. Feed the crystal. Men, once a month, take a sample of your liquid crystal and place it on the crystal. And don't let anybody handle your stuff once you let it evaporate in the sun. Women, the most powerful energy you have is your moon time. Take a drop, place it on the crystal, let it dry in the moonlight. Then that crystal is ready to give you assistance in whatever you desire. Everybody got that?
Yeah.
So, I'm not saying I got that kind of essence on the blue quartz bottles. You don't have to worry about that. However, this is what I want you to think about. If in nature, where alkalinity is generated by oceans, rivers, streams, you have ionization of the air. To know if you're in touch with nature by using an alkaline machine, where's the ionized air when you turn the machine on? Do you have an ionized kitchen when you turn on the alkaline machine? No, you don't. But it's a move in the right direction. It is not the absolute. So many of us, including myself, I had to go into the plant kingdom to look for answers how to create alkaline water. So I give tribute to my own I am divinity and the opening of the way with the sacred herbs from the plant kingdom. There are actually people who have gotten Nobel Peace Prizes because they took ayahuasca and got a complex insight on how to develop DNA replication and a whole sorts of other things. So when you take the quartz, the blue quartz bottle, fill it up with water, it instantly alkalizes the water. And the most beautiful thing you can do at night is place it in a bowl of water to ionize your room. This becomes a transmitter, and the bowl literally becomes a dust collector. And that is how nature also cleanses the air with alkalinity and ionization. Everybody all right? I want to thank Shabazz for giving me this time, and thank my brother Bobby, and I'm going to sit down with you and hear the magic he's about to do. Thank you.
Peace, everybody. I want to give a shout out to someone who just came in the door. It's a brother named Jason back there. He's a nutritional coach. He does all manner of things on the line of what you just heard this brother doing. That's part of my team that I roll with. It's a group called Soul. That's Sons of Universal Light, Universal Love, however you put it. But we meet and we do meditation. We do a lot of things. Come on, I want to just show you the people. Come here, man. He's just going to introduce to the people. Brother Jason will be.
But still yet let him visit.
And also Brother Hank's rising son will be outside with the crystals for the water, the bottles.
Take all that up.
With the bottles, and he also does a lot of, these are his bottles that he manufactures himself, and it alkalines the water naturally. This is Brother Jason. He's going to be here when Dr. Mitchell Gibson comes. He's going to open actually for him. Y'all going to see his classes. The brother's bad. I love this brother, and he's on point. I love you, man. Peace.
I love the work this brother's doing in the community. We need this information.
All right, no doubt. Peace, man. Peace, peace.
Love you, man.
All right, without any further ado, I'm going to bring y'all a master, Brother Bobby Hemmitt.
Since we're dealing with the pineal gland, this is what came about a month ago, like in a vision. Brother already just a bad witness when he stepped in to this thing, how powerful this is. This is going to be one of the charts that you can get to, you stare in it each day as many times as you want, and you train your third eye. We're going to go into the science of that, but this is a device that we will be using. We're going to go into the science of that today and go further into this particular information, and it is equipped with several things. It's almost as if each symbol came to be put into something to make it a device, to make it a device that you can actually use. And when the Spirit gives you stuff, it works. And the Spirit gives you stuff, I mean, it really is right on point. And so therefore, and we just got bear witness with the brother that felt the energy. Now this is interesting here. Last time I did a lecture was in New York, was in January. Last time I did a lecture. So I took a 4-month break by choice. You know, well, it was 6 months actually. It was January and this is in June. And certain thing happened to me this past last, I guess, 24 hours. So like I said, I had a lecture in January of this year. Didn't do no lectures up until today. Something happened between that time, because what happened was the reason why the Spirit didn't allow me to actually feel inspired to go on a certain amount of lectures, and I got a lot of offers, is because I was going through your own transformation, which has been the case since I've been lecturing. This month here will mark the 19th year that I started. I've been studying well over 20-something years, but I started in 1992 with the Dogon lecture, and that, I think June 27th of this month will be 19 years. 19 years, and I started when I was 30. I'll be 50 in November the 28th, which is called the 50 Gates of Understanding. So once you entered into your 50th year, throughout the whole time when I was doing all this research, I was also going through my own initiation. And that's the reason how you'll last. See, if a lot of people just do research for data and do stuff, they don't last very long, because they are on a certain path, and when that style or when that particular information go out, they go out with that particular information. That's why everybody should be in their own path of initiation, or what they call a hero's journey, and that way somebody can always find you on the path doing some work. You see what I'm saying? Based on what's privy to the path that you own at that particular time. So people used to accuse me, say, man, you're not talking about the stuff you talked about in the 90s. Yeah, that's because I talked about it in the 90s. Everything is ongoing. Everything is ongoing. You see what I'm saying? And you must change with what's going as far as the research. You already done that. Now, before you do it, it's the mystery. It's spiritual. Once you tapped into it and you present it, it becomes data because you've already done it. And if you keep doing that data or keep trying to present the same stuff, then it becomes a religion, a theology. You see what I'm saying? A theology. And that's where we get trapped. You must keep going. And we'll get into some of the science on that. So pretty much, as long as I was doing the work and the research, I was also going through my form of initiation. So when I decided in January that I'm going to chill for a minute, and I said, well, I could take them lectures and put them off during the summer and just, and put them back and just see what's going on. And as you can imagine, with the weather and everything else that's been going on since January, it's amazing stuff. But what happened was they also wanted me to see a certain thing. When I went through the airport in January, they got this nuclear machine they got now. And it scans your body and it shows all this stuff on you. And I did that in January. Yesterday when I went through, I didn't show up. They couldn't find nothing. Now what had happened, that's called your light body has gone to a certain level. And so it couldn't be detected on the radiation. So what happened was, when I didn't show up, they stopped me and told me to go back through again. So when I went back through again, didn't show up again. Now mind you me, I don't know what's going on until I got on the plane, and about 15 minutes or 20 minutes into the flight, I realized what was going on. Because she said, you moved. And when you move like that, you don't show. I'm like, come on now. I moved. What it was, she was trying to put it together in her mind, this sister, on why I didn't register on this radiation machine. So as a result, I had to go through the pat down. And I cleared the pat down, and all of that, And so, but I was wondering, I said, man, this is kind of awkward. Why would this happen this way? And then when I got on the machine, when I got on the plane, I said, oh, I got it. I didn't show up on the radiation machine or nothing. It was a blank. But what had happened was, between January and yesterday, you have series of going through several dimensions. Your light body goes through several dimensions. So you are not where you were 6 months ago, especially if you're conscious and you aligning yourself with a certain amount of energies. You see what I'm saying? And so what happened was, we know, because we got these black cats, and they'll disappear in and out of these dimensions. So what I didn't realize was when they was disappearing in and out of dimensions, me and my queen was disappearing in and out of dimensions. But for some reason, because we live such a physical life, a lot of times we're someplace and still thinking we someplace else. So when I went through the scanner, I was in another dimension. I was in another world. And so Linda was like, well, when you go through this time, so these people don't put you on some checklist. So look out, Mr. Superman. Materialize yourself before you go through. Before you go through, materialize yourself. So the point I'm trying to make here is, this is in the same alignment with these tornadoes that come out of nowhere, and all of a sudden these tornadoes are looking like nuclear bombs. You see what I'm saying? And they're trying to make all these excuses about some warm weather and all this kind of stuff in the jet stream and all that bullshit, and they know what time it is. You see, because when the one hit Alabama, it went from Tuscaloosa to Birmingham. And they knew what time it is. When that hit, Barack Obama gave his birth certificate. That hit on a Tuesday or something. Barack Obama gave his birth certificate. And the next thing you know, they taking down Bin Laden. Bin Laden died in 2001. They wouldn't even have a villain and blow up a building and have somebody living that can get caught and tell the truth. You know what I'm saying? So these are programs that they put in for mind control. You see what I'm saying? For mind control. So there's things that's actually happening, you see. And the next thing you know, the whole Bin Laden thing comes out. If he had his birth certificate from the beginning and knew it, why didn't he present it from the beginning? Because you got to realize these things are a series of programs that's used to make news and used to distract people. And then when they get the distraction to a certain point, then he'll come out with the birth certificate. Or they'll come out with Bin Laden. You see what I'm saying? After literally 11 years. You see what I'm saying? You see, or 10 years. So you got to look at things like that and understand the same forces that brought the tornadoes and brought the earthquake in Japan is the same things where we are changing dimensionally. We're going to get into some of that. We're going to get into some of that as we go on. But right now I want to, we're dedicating this lecture to the Sister Hatshepsut or the Sister Burt Lockett or Alberta Lockett. Now she made the transition. Now I went to go get a transparency, but the machine was down, so I have the actual picture. But I'm gonna put this on. I'm gonna log this into the actual camera, so the people in TV land, when they get it, they can see. This is a picture of Alberta Lockett, or what they call Burt Lockett. This is her mother, and this is Dr. Ben. Now this was at Burt's 70th birthday back in 2003. I think she would have been, no, not 2003, 2007. She would have been 74 on her birthday this coming December. This coming December. This was her mother that died maybe about 2 years ago, and Burt grieved for like 2 years. Sometimes you gotta let stuff, she grieved for like 2 years. Sometimes they say the grieving process is supposed to last a year. She grieved for like 2 years and made the transition. Now, I don't know nothing about no water or nothing like that. I'm just going to tell you what she was saying in the hospital room as a coherent person. And so we're going to have to let the water experts hash that out. I'm not a water expert, you know what I'm saying? I fuck around and drink a Mountain Dew on your ass in a minute. Now, I am an expert on this stuff right here. Alcohol. But she claimed that the Kenyan water killed her. And nobody wasn't hearing it. So, like I said, but I did know she grieved for a while and certain things came to a head. You see what I'm saying and all. And I did know that she really, grieved for a minute over her mother making the transition. So, you can't just make statements. But my point here is we do have Hank Rising Sun. We do have 2 other water experts that's going to appear on the Raspberry Remix, or what they call a remix, which is the Sister Blues show. And so in the next couple of months, and they'll hash out what the deal is, you see, on this type of thing here. But what we do know, like he said, if the electricity shuts off and your machine, you can't get your machine, because there's several of these alkaline machines, you can pour water in this bottle. And I bear witness to that. You see what I'm saying? You can pour water in this bottle and stuff, And he has those bottles out there on the table. But what makes this woman so special is this woman is responsible. Number one, she's responsible because Valentine had been doing work in the community for years. But she was the one she was the one that actually brought Valentine out. Because it was 1994, She had Deborah Blair to come speak, and she had Valentine to open for Blair. And after that, you see what I'm saying? And then after that, you know, there's Henry DiBernardo. She was the first to bring me here. I started in 92. She was the first to bring me here in the spring of 94. The spring of 94. So you can say she was a pioneer in bringing certain people out. Now, people, you know, Bert was a little rough around the edges as far as her appearance. But then again, that's one of those goddess things like a Sheena Master or a Kali or a Oya. You must try to understand and profile the process of different entities we have. And that's why we don't need to judge people, because the simple fact, everybody's not supposed to be the same way. You understand what I'm saying? And we need certain people to appear a certain way to deprogram you. Now it's interesting because this is the god Ganesha, what they call Gana Ishu. So Ishu is the god of the opening of the way, or the god of the crossroads. In India it's called Ganesha, but Ganesha is broken down in Sanskrit as Gana Ishu, which means that's African in origin. You see what I'm saying? African in origin, and you have an Indian elephant or Asian elephant, and you have an African elephant, which is bigger, but nevertheless there is this connection. One of the things they say is the first people he's the most popular deity in India, and the first people to accept him as children. Children can look at things and be at awe with it, and they're the first to accept Ganesha. You see what I'm saying? Adults have a little problem with a big-bellied, elephant head man with several arms, because we are trapped into certain design to make us judge. You see, it takes a lot to break down an adult, you see what I'm saying, to use a certain definition of what they're experiencing, or to gain a certain definition of what they're experiencing. It's just like a brother. Like I said, I went to college for years, and not because I was so academically inclined. It's just that I used to take at least 12 hours so I could have a place to stay. 3 hearts in a cot. You see, so I was up in there about damn near 8 years up in that baby, just living, taking my classes and shit. So nobody can't tell me nothing about the world of college, but I did remember this thing. One of the brothers that loved my work, and he didn't reject it. You got some people just out reject it. He was trying to understand this metaphysical thing, but he was getting a PhD in some type of political revolutionary thing. It was a political science, but he had tapped into the revolutionary thing because his heroes was Malcolm, his heroes was Marcus Garvey and stuff. But he was having a lot of problems trying to understand this spirit world. And I told him what you have to do is you got to deprogram your mind. You've been trained to be a left brain prisoner, and you're going to have to deprogram your mind to the point whereas everything that sounds bizarre, everything that sounds weird, just accept it for a month, and everything that sounds logical, rational, and make common sense, look at that as the weird. Because what you're trying to do is deprogram or trying to shatter these different patterns that we make for ourselves. So the problem here, and it's just interesting when we talk about this Sister Burt. Now you will see this when you get the tape. Some people approached me. Burt brought me in the fall, at early winter of 1994. She then again brought me in the summer of 1994, and a group of people from First World approached me and said, you know, we like your work, we know you're doing, we recognize the scholarship. We want to bring you to First World, but what we want to do is, in some kind of way, we want you to try to distance yourself from Sister Hatshepsut, because she is not socially accepted by a bunch of handkerchief head niggas. And I said, no, I'm not even going to play that game. You see what I'm saying? The Spirit puts in your path who's supposed to be in your path. It's up to you to accept it and deal with it. And as a result, she was able to bring all the metaphysical stuff You see what I'm saying? She was able to bring a lot of the metaphysical people through, which the first world people at that particular time was still dealing with the historical thing. Now, don't get me wrong. We're not saying one is different than the other. It's just that we got to understand there's different categories. But too often what we do is each person wants to level the other person's thing. So as a result of her being on the fringes in the outskirts, she would be a person that would be caught up into something that somebody was saying that was a little too liberal, and she don't want to do alienate the people that's so-called conservative within which they deem to be reality. You understand what I'm saying? So by her being in the fringes, you see what I'm saying? And she was also in the life, if you know what I mean by that type thing, you know, on the, you know what in the life is. We talk about alternative, sexual alternatives and stuff like that. By her living this type of lifestyle, sometimes it frees you. You understand what I'm saying? That you don't have to be on lockdown to please the status quo. You see what I'm saying? Which in all honesty might be hiding in front of themselves. You see what I'm saying? Like that. So that's one thing about her, but she made the transition and we wanted to give a shout out to her. We also, I'm going to pour the libations, but we also want to give a shout out to a master by the name of Kenneth Grant. Now, Kenneth Grant, it is said, now let me give you the history on Kenneth Grant. Kenneth Grant is a British occultist or a British scholar. He's probably known as the greatest British occultist to live. Why? Because they give a lot of praise to Aleister Crowley. What Kenneth Grant did is Aleister Crowley received these transmissions from this Egyptian, ancient, African deity called Aiwass, in his historical form a deity called Ankh Nakhunsu, which on his funerary tablet is the tall black man. You see what I'm saying? And dark-skinned man. Later on, he received these transmissions from this guy in 1904, and they did the book of, and basically he gave him the transmission of the Book of the Law, which is like the last chapter of the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Some people say, well, why would they give it to Crowley and give it to these white folk? Well, black people in 1904, you understand what I'm saying, was just coming off the farms. You see what I'm saying? Right. And the Africans, you see what I'm saying, was right in the grips of colonization. So sometimes things is given to people, you see, to carry on the work because we're not able to do it. And that's what we did. We did it as the Moors when we carried all the stuff up into Spain. So that give them the information, they can preserve the information, so when we come out of our sleep, we will have the information. So this is why in 1904, Aiwass, which came to Aleister Crowley and gave him this, but what Crowley and them did, Crowley was very in love with Masonic societies. So what they did is they coded a lot of stuff, other than the Book of the Law, by the stuff being coded, the teachings, it was lost because it was coded and hidden based on these Masonic societies. What Kenneth Grant did in the 1950s is he came in and what he did was he simplified it, and he released a whole lot of secrets. Especially with the release of his book Magical Revival in 1972. The reason why you don't know about him and the reason why he's not as famous as a lot of occultists now is because Kenneth Grant did one of the things that was done in 1907 by Gerald Massey. He said that all was black. And when he did that, he became persona non grata to the occult world. Just like Gerald Massey became a social pariah to the academic world or the Egyptology world, which is still today one of the greatest Egyptologists to ever live, is Gerald Massey. Is Gerald Massey. Ancient Egypt, Light of the World, the last book, Book of the Beginnings, the second before the last, and Natural Genesis, the first. And believe me, you can look at these things to this day, And this stuff, and his last book it's been over 104 years since his death. Because the last book came out the same year of his death. We're talking about Gerald Massey, Light of the World. And it is just as advanced as it was, you see what I'm saying, when he put it out in 1907. So, Kenneth Grant was one of the other people by his, well, the first book he dealt with Africa. The second book he dealt with Africa. By his third book, Cults of the Shadow, he went all African. And after that, and all this Egyptian stuff and put it back into black. Now history is repeating itself as of the last 2 months. We're going to get in that in a few minutes. But after that, he became the persona non grata. And what that means is persona non grata means person ungrateful, social pariah, outcast of the occult world. Now, unfortunately, well, one thing is fortunate. Since he made the transition, now he made the transition on the last time I lectured, which was Martin Luther King's birthday. What's that, the 25th? The 15th. So he made the transition on January the 15th on Martin Luther King's birthday. I thought that kind of fitting for a man that became a social pariah because he said all of this stuff is black. So he was in his 80s when he made the transition. Now, one of the keys here with that is when he made the transition, the books was already high. So most of these books now is starting at $400 too. He's got nine what they call Typhonian trilogies. And from those 9 Typhonian trilogies, most of them are starting at $400 to $1,300, $1,200. Fortunately, his first book, Magical Revival, is out. He put it out about a year or two ago. What is it, about $50?
67.
60 or 70. So fortunately, his first book, Magical Revival by Kenneth Grant, they put it back out and you can get it available about $60 or $70. And believe me, that's cheap. Because the other ones, $400, $500, $1,000. You see what I'm saying? A lot of other people, some of his students that was inspired by him is Peter Moon, Pyramids of Montauk, Black Sun. These are people that's inspired by Kenneth Grant. A new book out was one of his people that's inspired by him. And you could get your access to these. This is $16. This just came out. The guy's name is Aeolus, A-E-O-L-U-S. His last name is Kepias, K-E-P-H-A-S, K-E-P-H-A-S. So that's A-E-O-L-U-S, K-E-P-H-A-S. And the name of the book is called Homo Sapiens. Homo Sapiens, the occult history of DNA from Eden to Armageddon, which he got a whole chapter on AWAS and the AWAS working in Crawley and all of this type of stuff. He also has a in here. He has also a part in here. His index, as far as his bibliography, is all of Kenneth Grant's works. So he is one, because one of the keys here is most occult people are not allowed if you own certain companies, like if you own Samuel Weiser or if you own Llewellyn. If you use Kenneth Grant's works, the people the OTO, the society that Crawley started, a lot of the people who provide the material that these people are allowed to sell some of Crawley's stuff will snatch that stuff away if they use Kenneth Grant works. So so a lot of these companies and a lot of people won't use his work, and a lot of them are racist anyway because they don't want to give Kenneth Grant credit. A lot of stuff when they go back and the same stuff that they talk about Kenneth Grant is saying, no, this is all African, this is all black. You see what I'm saying? This is all black. You see. So that's the reason why you don't see him in the bibliographies. In the bibliographies and stuff like that. So this is one of the newer books that's out, and I want to give you this Exhibit A on that. But we celebrate the life of Kenneth Grant because he did like Massey. They said that Gerald Massey wrote for black people. Now, come to find out, Gerald Massey, who was British, was supposed to go into the British Museum, because what happened was after they came out of Egypt, a lot of people were scheduled to go into the British Museum and start rehashing this particular information. You see, because Napoleon and them came, stole, the British came and stole, and so you got your Louvre in Paris, which there's a part of that I'm going to talk about in a few minutes, and you have the British Museum became loaded with all your Egyptian artifacts. So they got people in the 19th century like E. Wallace Budge and Adolf Ehrman, several people, there's a lot of them from the 19th century scholars, went in and basically just saw things that was white, saw things that was black, and just excluded the whole racial aspect of it. So all of a sudden the Egyptians come down, they don't have a culture. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, they say they're in Africa, but they omit the aspect of African people. So Gerald Massey was scheduled to go in. He was a visionary. That means that he could look at stuff and it's called transvisionary, because he was a clairvoyant and all that, so he could actually not only he knew hieroglyphics, but he could also not only translate what he saw, but he also could get transmissions and put stuff back right. But before he went into the British Museum, the goddess Sekhmet came to him and said, number one, you are of the black race. And number two, do not flinch when you go in the British Museum and this stuff comes up African. Print what you know. And that's how Gerald Massey became the outcast. You see, same thing with Crawley. I got a transmission from one of the Sister Ty City. She said, you know he was black. I said, I had a little trouble with that. But then I started reading his last book he wrote, the Book of Thoth, and he talks about this obscure race I find myself trapped into, find myself among. And so, so what you'll find out here is not only because there's all kind of information coming out, but not only are these people here scheduled to do the work to make sure that this particular work is make sure this work is tell her to close the door, because that distracts me. Not only are these people put forth to relay this information to us, but these people are also of our bloodline a lot of times. You see, like, let me give you an example. Now, the sister Myra Moss did something in Baltimore where she's claiming, based on the mitochondrial DNA, comes from the woman, that Barack Obama can't be black because his mother didn't come from the African line. Well, you can't really go by that no more, because he's from Ireland, and that's your Druids. And this thing is muddled now. You can't go by just because the appearance of a person anymore. There's all kind of bloodlines, and come to find out that the European part of their history for the last 500 years is to hide their African bloodline. You see, that's why the Queen and all of them are real pissed, because of that whole Queen Charlotte aspect, which the Moor screwed some British woman or whatever of the royal line, and Queen Charlotte, or Charlotte, North Carolina, was born black. And as a result, the British have declared war on Islam and everything. You see what I mean? Based on that. So the lines are muddled now. We live in a time, and plus we talk about the Moors being up in there for 700 years. You see what I mean? That's what they did. They spread their bloodline. I talked about that the last time. So we just can't say because a person is white, you see what I'm saying, as far as the appearance, we don't know what kind of bloodlines is going on. You see. And for the simple fact, now we got this information that they've been hiding bloodlines. You see, so everything, everything is not just It's black and white. There's more gray areas than it is anything else. I want to say a couple other things as going on before we go on. This is a book. This was an exhibit a brother sent to me from, I think it was out in Seattle. A brother sent this to me. They had an exhibit of the Olmecs out in Seattle. Now I want to get this because I want you to get this book. I want you to get this book. I think I got a bookmark in here on the store. The exhibit is gone now, but the brother did go and he bought the book for me. I tried to, he went back another time looking for some kind of DVD. But this is why this is very important. Usually when we see the Olmecs, we only see the big heads. You don't see nothing else. And what they tell you here is that they didn't have a writing system. In 1976, I was able to get a book recently before this came out. About a couple of months ago, I found a book in a thrift store on Reader's Digest Mysteries, Ancient Mysteries. And for the first time, I saw things and artifacts on the Olmecs that wasn't just the big heads, wasn't just the heads. And then right after I got the book, this brother sent me this book from the exhibit, which gives you all different types of, and we could put this before and all because I'll just show you all different types of artifacts. We could put these on there, all different types of artifacts of the Olmecs, you see, other than the heads. I'll pass this around after we get through. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, be delicate to it. But what I want you to do here is it gives you all these different artifacts. But if you look real close, some of these artifacts got writings on them. They say they didn't have writings. And the reason why they can't really show you the writings is because when you see these Mayans, that's the Olmecs. It's another stolen legacy. You understand what I'm saying? When you see the Mayans, you see all of that and you're thinking it's this culture. No, what they did was, for years, the people of that region, or the scholars of that region, they just basically separated the African heads from the writings and called it Mayan. There's no such thing. See, this is a big trick. So you got a whole civilization with the pyramids and all of that, but they decided, no, we can't change this like we did Egypt. Egypt was on a continent. If we could have somehow broke off Egypt from Africa, we might have could have fronted. So what I'm trying to tell you is they literally took these people, the Olmecs, civilization, call it the Mayans, but all of the writing system, the pyramids and all this stuff, you see what I'm saying? Only thing they did is they just separated the big heads away from all of that. You understand? The Aztecs, the Incas, or whatever you want to call them. It was nothing but one culture, the Mayan culture. Now all of a sudden they're sneaking back in now and putting this stuff back, but one or two little artifacts got writings on them. So it's important that you get this book. The it's called Olmecs, Colossal Masterworks of Ancient Mexico. Now you're gonna go to the D Young it's a small DE Young YOUN Legion of Honor museum stores. Let me see if I can find something else. Museum stores at, this is the way you could probably get the book. Museum stores, and it's that little ad, you know, for the internet. FAMSF.org. FAMSF. So FAMSF.org. So museum stores at FAMSF.org. So you need to call and see, can you get this particular book called the Olmecs, the Colossal Masterworks of Ancient Mexico. You want to try to get this in, because the exhibit is gone. But it's ironic because after this left, it was followed by a Moorish exhibit. You see, so we need to reclaim, just like this is another form of stolen legacy, where they told you they didn't need no writing system. They did. It was called Mayan. You understand? So they systematically separated these things out to make a new culture. You know, to make a new culture. Another thing that the great brother C. Freeman L., the great master that passed back in 08, always said, when you see the pirates historically was none other than the Moors. Bottom line, no exceptions on any other thing. So we got to have a whole other history of the pirates, because what happened? The pirates was these renegades that lost their home. So like C. Freeman L. said, after they were ousted from Spain, they got on boats and stopped robbing and start taking stuff back. You see what I'm saying? Why is it that it had 3 pirates of the Caribbeans, actually 4, and there's a black presence in all of them? Last one, they was using voodoo. You see what I'm saying? You see, and a black presence in all of them. The point I'm trying to make here is, they know it. Why you think Johnny Depp has got dreads? You see, they're trying to tell this story that the pirates, why is it that the pirates were the Moors? You see, why Port Royal was the pirate capital in Jamaica that fell under the sea. You see what I'm saying? But yet Jamaica, to this day, is 98% inhabited by black people. So we have to go and try to understand this particular history and try to understand some things. Now I want to say this other thing, we're going to pour libation, but I want to get this out of the way right now. Now I don't want to try to spread no fear. I just want to give you fair warning so you know what you're up against and you can maneuver around it. One of our brothers that just that you know him, he's appeared with me in Black Mental Illness 1, Black Mental Illness Predator Nation. Brother TJ, and he used to come here often, you know, and TJ was one of the most astute people in just filling out your paperwork, UCC, or whatever you want to call it. He was one of the best. As a matter of fact, he was so good to white boys would call him to Vegas to do their paperwork. And that's how he made a lot of his money. So some stuff happened. He did some paperwork, some questionable things that went down. And I'm not saying that he probably was some of the stuff was his fault, but one of the keys is they said he got a whole lot of time recently in January, right? But either before January or right after January, he got sent up the river. He got a whole lot of time. But my point here is the amount of time they said he got, had there been a compounded thing based on an investigation of this. Now, TJ brought me to D.C. in January of 04, and that's when me and my queen decided to hook up. I had known her since I think I met her during the Million Woman March in Philly. I had done a lecture later on that night after the Million Woman March, so I've been knowing her for a minute. But after TJ brought me to D.C., and she was from D.C., we hooked up. That night, when I went back to TJ's house after the lecture, because the next day we did the Black Mental Illness, he showed me these papers after the lecture where all of his stuff was signed off on by Colin Powell. You know, all this stuff here, diplomatic immunity and all this type of stuff, and all of this UCC stuff signed off under Colin Powell with the Moroccan Empire. Okay, so we're going to put it right in your ass. Because this brother was smart. This brother knew it. So some of you dumbass niggas walking around with your little feathers on. Half these niggas can't read and write, so you're going to be the first motherfucker go. If they got a smart person, he was so good at what he did that white boys used to call him out from around the country to come do their paperwork. And he sent up the reason, I forgot how many years they say he got, close to 40 years. Huh? What? You said 8? I got damn near 40 years. It might have been the original 8, but what happened here is this other thing. Let me tell you something. So now, let me explain what's going on here. The brother Dr. Blind, who wrote The Functionary, he was the first to say something. He said, man, everybody getting their little paperwork done. He said, I don't know. You see what I'm saying? All of a sudden now, the Muslims became masters of the paperwork. Wait a minute, hold on now. You went damn near 70 years and then now put out no academic work. The first academic work put out by you was put out this, with the scattered drift or the sacred drift. Peter Lamborn Wilson was a white boy. Then the other couple of books came out. But basically, for most of the 70 years, you was on a pamphlet. Circle Several Quran, these are pamphlets. So you were not an academic organization. You was a street organization of lip service. Now all of a sudden now you become an expert in this paperwork shit under the Moroccan Empire. Now let me take this somewhere. You can do your own research so you know I'm not bullshitting with this. Because when Homeboy went down, that's major stuff because he knew his stuff. Now, let me explain something here. The brother Dr. Blind was the first one to say, he said, yeah, you know, he got signed off on diplomatic immunity, Moroccan Empire. I saw all the paperwork with my own eyes. Colin Powell, signature, and all of this. He said, but I don't know. He said, you know, these people are getting this stuff and this citizenship. He said, but I don't know, man. He said, because when some shit jump off, you see what I'm saying? These are the first niggas they're going to point at as terrorists. And we do know that they were cited as terrorists in the spring of '09 when they arrested those boys. Was supposed to blow up the Sears Tower under the whole Moorish thing. Now let me give you the conspiracy behind this so that you'll understand something. The November after 9/11, the Atlanta Journal and Constitution in Atlanta ran an article on the Muslim of Spain, the Moors. They put Muslim and they put Moors. You see. And they kind of routed it as an Islamic organization of Islamic Spain. You see. They didn't give any colors because the simple fact they want to lump all the Muslim world into the same pot. You see what I'm saying? I said, that's kind of interesting here. They got the World Trade Center went off, and then the next thing you know, they ran a thing on the Moors where the Moors are only a footnote in history. They're not even recognized as even existed in most books. Most, you know what I'm saying? But all of a sudden they did this, and right after they ran this special on the Moors, you remember the first was a little white boy that was over there and they found his ass with the Taliban? And, remember him? And found him with the Taliban and all this, and then they looked at his stuff. He had first started studying out of high school, Malcolm X and different things like that. Okay. Now, the Moors say, and according to the papers that TJ had, that they are under the Moroccan Empire is a part of the nationality. Anybody Moors, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Anybody know about this? Okay. All right. Now this is the key on what happened. First of all, there is no Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda is United States Black Ops. Black Operations. And remember now, one of the guys came from Sean Hannity, was on Sean Hannity's show. He was a dark-skinned brother, he was a Muslim, and they always had him on there. And every time they talk about all these enemies, he said, no, that's your homeboy. Yeah, Saddam Hussein. He said, no, that's your homeboy. You used to hang out with Saddam Hussein. Bin Laden, no, that's your homeboy. You gave him all this money to fight the Russians. So what happened was, this guy said, look, I've been a Muslim for 45 years. He said, and I started going to Muslim conferences, international Muslim conferences since 1974. And he said, never once in the history of the Muslim world I belong to for 40-something years have we ever heard of anything called an Al-Qaeda. So that's a government, or whatever you want to call it, Boogeyman, that's their organization to get you caught up in some shit. All right, now follow me here. You go on the internet. There is, okay, you got your Hebrew Israelites used to be downtown, Times Square. You go down there and spit on the ground, you get arrested. But these niggas used to go down there and talk shit about white people with the Bible and all that. And maybe the white man said, no, let them do it because we got to create this kind of thing so the people will know, you see, because distraction is a mother. Sometimes you think you working against them and then you working for them. All right. All of a sudden, in the same place where the Hebrew Israelites used to be, the group of white Muslims, young white Muslims, call themselves Muslim Revolution. Write that down and go on the internet. Very key that you understand this, because this is a group that was started by the United States government. Muslim Revolution. And they talk junk. You know, Allah gonna kill you, kill this, and the hell with America. The great Satan America to do the same stuff the so-called Bin Laden was supposed to blow up the buildings with. You must understand, nothing goes on the TV, not unless they want you to see it and direct you a certain way. They got white people. You've never seen that Kenneth Grant. They even said anything about him. They got white people they don't even put on TV. So anything that's on the TV is there for a reason. So they got these white boys called Muslim Revolution. They went as far as to threaten the South Park people. You know the TV show South Park. They threatened them because they showed the Prophet Muhammad. And they said you're not supposed to show a picture of Prophet Muhammad. So they did a cartoon showing the Prophet Muhammad in their own way. And they got threatened. They got threatened so bad until the head of the Muslim Revolution had to flee this country. White boys, started by the government. Where did they go? Where's this guy that threatened the South Park people? He's in Morocco. Because the Muslim Revolution is under the same Moroccan treaty as the so-called Noble Ali Moors. Now you done had one form of terrorism that went down with these guys trying to blow up the Sears Tower. Okay? You had another form, you know, and they got indicted and they got sentenced in I think March of 09. You got and so now you got another part of this white group threatening South Park, and they got to flee the country, called Muslim Revolution, and all of these people under the same treaty. You understand what I'm saying? So be sure to note to be careful about some stuff. You see, and then you have TJ goes down from some stuff that might have went down or whatever, but they gave him an enormous amount. Not because of what he did, because of the Moroccan treaty. You see what I'm saying? So the point I'm trying to make here is between the white group, the black brothers that got sent down, and several other people, you see, you got to be very careful of some stuff that's going on right now. And lip service and being shown ain't necessary to deal the way things are going right now. And don't align yourself up no more than 2 or more people in God's name. So when it comes to organization, when you say what you want, don't ask the question whether these niggas out here is criminals. They are. I don't give a damn if you Dr. York. I don't give a damn if you Nation of Islam. I don't give a damn if you Moors or whatever. Anything with an organization, and the organization might be tried and true, and it might have these ideals that's noble, but in that organization is criminals. You understand what I'm saying? And where there's criminals, you see what I'm saying? Birds of a feather flock together. You see what I'm saying? Like Mama used to tell us, don't go downtown with some niggas stealing, because if they get caught, everybody going to jail. They don't sift nothing out. You see, so that's what I'm trying to say here. This is what's going on. So I just wanted to do that because this whole thing that went down with TJ. Now, a few things we're going to deal with right now. What I'm going to do is right now I'm going to spit. I'm going to spit this to the gods, and we're going to call out the deities. We're going to call out the deities. One of the deities. Let's see if I got this right. One of the deities that we're seeing is reaping havoc. Let's see if I got her overlay right quick. I got her overlay. Okay. This is another one of the books that we put this down right quick as an exhibit. Every now and then something happens. This is a book called Black Genesis by a white boy called Robert Bouval. He wrote a book called Orion Mysteries back in 1994. And as a result, certain thing happened. As a result of him writing Orion Mysteries, the established Egyptology order rejected his information because he was saying that the pyramids in the Giza Plateau was aligned with the 3 stars in Orion's belt. You see what I'm saying? In the heavens. So they gave him hell for a couple of years, and then over and over when they did Egyptology, after rejecting him, his work was so precise until at the end they ended up having to join him. Well, if you can't beat him, join him. Mm-hmm. So by that time, Robert Bouval is a little bitter because he done got beat over the head by his own white folks. So what happened here is that they got this intelligentsia group. A lot of them are headed by John Anthony West. You can get his works with Magical Egypt out there that Shabazz is selling. A lot of the works is by John Anthony West. He has a whole nother intelligentsia group. And what has happened here is, whenever they're trying to establish, tell them to keep the door closed when they come in. What they're trying to establish is that the mainstream Egyptologists want to say that their work is not legitimate because they're telling the truth and adding the metaphysical thing in the magical Egypt. And Egyptology was started as something mainly to go along with established Christian science, or what they call Christian archaeology. So they're in bed together. So anything contrary to stuff that might be mystical or stuff that might lead you to another level, the Egyptologists is always trying to shoot that down. So they got, which led to another intelligentsia group to say, look, we're going to start telling the truth. So one of the guys by the name of, what's the guy? He wrote a book called Spiritual Technology of Ancient Egypt. Wachowski. Wachowski is his last name. Wrote a book called Spiritual Technology of Ancient Egypt. Edward Malkowski. Well, he said, well, when we come out this time, see, despite the white boys, it's about like what happened with Prince Hall. Whereas, you know, they had the Boston Tea Party. You see what I'm saying? And they was throwing out the bales, the tea. Prince Hall talk about this. And the white boys threw their charter to their Masonic order over in the Boston Harbor with the tea. So they had already inducted Prince Hall in England. So as a result, the British say, okay then, when you want to act funny, and they send Prince Hall's charter over, and Prince Hall, the Black Masonic charter, is the first charter in the United States. So every time they get a little fight, one person goes black despite the other. So Edward Malkowski, when his book Spiritual Technology in Ancient Egypt, they said, well, okay then, when you all want to say that none of this stuff is this way and all the established one, they said, okay then. We remember a couple of years ago, the Afrocentric movement had already re-blackened all this stuff with the major scholars. So when he wrote his book, Spiritual Technology of Ancient Egypt, Malkowski put in there Stolen Legacy, Sheikh Anta Diop, Gerald Massey, who they hate. He loaded them all down. You see? Even put Mark Bernard and all them in there. So sometimes they do this stuff to spite the other people. There's a family fight going on amongst white people. So the other one go, okay then, we going to do something. This is what happened with Black Genesis. He came out saying all this stuff is black. And does he have a chapter on Diop? He has a chapter on Diop. So anytime you want to beat somebody over the head, you give them Sheikh Anta Diop. Sheikh Anta Diop crossed all T's and dotted all I's. And there's no way around his scholarship. You see what I'm saying? The gig is up. See, the gig is up. That's what I remember talking to Leonard Jeffrey. He was going crazy off of civilization of barbarism. And I said, well, what about Black Man of the Nile? He said, no, that's written for black people. Because Dr. Ben didn't have no desire to prove nothing to them. He said, but this right here, civilization of barbarism, put the nail in the coffin, because this is written to disprove white folks like him and Teofilo Obenga, Sheikh Anta Diop, and then went over to the UNESCO thing in 1974 and gave them the melanin dosage thing. So when they put the Diop up in there, that means they're at war. So every now and then, no matter how rigid the rules are of them trying to hide stuff, people in their own family will come out. You see what I'm saying? Against them. All right, let's move on. I'm going to introduce you to a goddess called Hecate. Now she's later on picked up by the Greeks, but we first find her in the Chaldean oracles in Samaria, Phoenicia. And you know, Phoenicians are nothing but your pre-dynastic Egyptians. And in 1999, they did a conference. Clemson. That thing is pointing. Oh, okay, yeah. Whatever you. Oh, you got it. He got it. Okay. Okay. In 1999, they did a conference in Cambridge, England, at the University of Cambridge, and they put out a book called The East Face of Helicon. And what this book is saying, that all of Greek mythology is Phoenician. Where's Phoenician? Carthage, later on Libya, all that's Phoenicia. But before Phoenicia was there, Phoenicia was also pre-dynastic Egyptian, which is northern Egypt. Because you know, Lower Egypt is up north, Upper Egypt is down south. Now, so we know that Greek philosophy is stolen Egyptian philosophy from the Library of Alexandria, and they made all of them take all the books and you know the whole thing, and made them take all this stuff and put it in one central library. They got out of the temples and they went in there and they stole it. Well, I got another take on that, because in the early 90s They had some conferences called the Alexandrian conferences, and they told the truth. They said that the Egyptians took 100 years, the Egyptian priests, to translate the hieroglyphics into Greek and Latin, in Aramaic and in Hebrew, to give it to the world, because they knew that hieroglyphics was going to be a dead religion, a dead language. So all that stuff you see, what you say is Greek, was actually done by the Egyptian priests, because they could see the future and they knew what this stuff was about, to make sure the stuff didn't get lost. About like the Moors had to go up in there for 700 years and teach them this stuff, so when we came out of slavery, we would have education. Because imagine what would happen. Look how we was treated with the damn education. What you imagine if they didn't have nothing? So now, but Greek mythology is Phoenician. This goddess here is called a triple goddess. She's also called the goddess of three fates. The three fates mean there's three goddesses. There's actually four of them. These three goddesses have judgment over everything that's going on. So this one goddess embodies three goddesses. Her name is Hecate. We're going to start off by spitting the rum to her. Then we're going to introduce the sacred whore. 90% of what there's more in the Bible, of the Bible hating on the whore or the harlot, than it is the devil. And why is that? You see, why is that? You see, we'll show you who the sacred whore is in a few minutes. And I'm going ahead of myself, but if you know a woman is very promiscuous, you know her when she was out there and she was hoeing. You know her. And now she's conscious. And now she's conscious. Is she conscious and she used to be a hoe? Run to her. She's the most sacred shit out here. And if you was able to get a hold of some of it, you got something. Now I had that experience happen in the early 90s, and I'm going to tell you something. That's the most powerful shit on the planet. We're going to go into that. That's why the Bible has to shut that down. We'll go into that. I'm going ahead of myself. But, going back, you got this goddess here, the goddess of three fates. Now, she's the goddess of three fates, but I want to show this. Then we're going to pour a libation to her. And we'll go back into this with her. This is the same goddess. She has a lion head, a cow head, and a goat head. She got a sword on. You can tell that she is not about she ain't about the bullshit. And I got a new book out. It's called, it's a new book out. You got to get it. I think it came out a couple of weeks ago. It's called, see if I can find this thing. It's called Eternally Bad. Goddesses with attitude. And her name is Trina Robbins. It's called Eternally Bad, Goddesses with an Attitude. So now, what this is about, this is the same goddess that appears one way that I just showed. It showed you a few minutes ago as the triple goddess that I just took off and then lost that clip. Oh, here it is. As the triple goddess, this is the same goddess. Now, this is how she looks coming out of Phoenician, Chaldean, and pre-dynastic Egypt, later on into the Greek thing, Hecate. Hecate. These are two books that just came out on her. One is Hecate by Jade Sol Luna. Hecate 1, and then there's Hecate 2, J Sol Luna. The awakening of the Hydra. That's the serpent. That's the Kundalini. You know, now let me explain what this is. Then we're gonna go into a libation. Now, this deity, amongst others, and we'll go in deep into this, is probably what you see when you see these tornadoes touch down and kill up everything. They say they've never seen anything like it. Now in West Africa, she would be Oya. You see, it's got the lion head, so in Egypt she would be Sekhmet. In India she would be Durga. What we're saying here is the badass goddess is amongst us. You see what I'm saying? And they know this stuff is happening. It's a centrifugal force of ultimate feminine energy, and we're going to get into that tonight, because this has a lot to do with the third eye. Is to go deeper into releasing this aspect of this ultimate feminine energy, but we're not going to reverend into the Afrocentric glory of the beautiful mother. No, we're going to venerate the hoe, the slut. And something, if you're not taken over by religion, something that secretly every woman wanted to be, because every man want to be it. Right now, if you say, man, would you like to have a lot of women? Now they might say, well, you know, historically, they might say, well, literally, practically that would not work. But there ain't no man up in here right now that said if they had the opportunity, you see what I'm saying? They wouldn't want to be no Hugh Hefner. See what I'm saying? But what about if you're a woman and you didn't have the training to say that this was wrong? And somebody said, would you like to have a cadre of men? You might go, yeah. So you got to break all, what we're trying to do here is deprogram the mind for you to break all your training. Since you was a child, they told you, you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. There's a book called Sexy Witch. Sexy Witch. Can't think of the woman's name, but write it down because you only need the thing. In the whole first chapter, they go into how men and the church shut down the women by telling them that their virtue, you see what I'm saying, is to be obedient to them and to be discreet. You see what I'm saying? Based on these virtues, that's the highest level. You see what I'm saying? And it's a whole system that's put down to put women in slavery. And it's put down to stop the most powerful and only force there is for transformation. That feminine, raw energy. I'm going ahead of myself. So we're going to spit the rum. We're going to spit the rum out. So to the goddess Hecate. And then we're going to go into different ones. There's one now that's being celebrated. I introduced her before in Brazil. Her name is Pombagira. I was saying Pombagira, but it's Pombagira. And here's a book that just came out called The Holy Harlots. The Holy Harlots. Let me get this right. It's called The Holy Harlots, but the name didn't come out when we did the overlay. It's called The Holy Harlots, and it says by Kelly F. Hayes. It also comes with a DVD, but it's in Spanish. This is coming out of Brazil. the candomblé, holy harlots, and it says feminine sexuality and black magic in Brazil. And they worship a goddess. Now I got a picture of her too. I'm going ahead of myself, but I got a picture of her too, called Palmagira. And when we get into this stuff, when I find the picture, I will show the picture of her as this promiscuous deity. But anyway, all this stuff is coming out now because in order for you to gain true access to knowledge, you have to uncover every aspect of life that's done on this planet. So you can't just sweep stuff under the rug and take what you want. So if there's a sacred prostitute, you need to know about it. There's a book called The Sacred Prostitute. And what is this stuff about? I'm going to explain what this stuff is about, because it's going to leave the aspect of the slut, promiscuous aspect, and it's going to come into raw energy and science and formulas. You understand what I'm saying? And formulas, and how you can use them formulas. You see. And all this has to do with the pineal gland. But certain areas that's been suppressed for years, since the Judeo-Christian paradigm. So we're talking roughly maybe 2,000 years. You see what I'm saying? Maybe because the Hebrew thing, what it did do is what used to have a balance around in the ancient world of both male and female, they suppressed it, took the goddess out of the equation. You see what I'm saying? And that ancient primordial mother became Lilith, the enemy. You see. So they tell you in most Hebraic scholars that they don't fear Satan, the accursor, because they know that you can't have God without Satan. These are talking about polarities. Their most feared deity is Lilith. You see. That the rabbi fears more. And here go again, because you're talking about the feminine principle. You see. You're talking about the feminine principle. But we have to uncover all of that at a particular time. So right now, we're going to put Hecate back up. We're going to put Hecate back up. We're going to start off with her. I'm going to start off with her. We're going to split this one on and do the libations. And then we can finally start the lecture. All right. Ashe. Hecate. Ashe. Hecate. Ashe. Because she's also the frog-head deity, Hecate, in Egypt, or Heku. There's several aspects of that. And Palmagira. Ashe. Neptes. Ashe. Segment. Heru. Aset. Now Aset is some mysterious stuff about, because Aset killed Ra. That's right, poison Ra ass. There's a whole, but that's the whole thing on that too. You see, you ain't never gonna have no. See, you gonna follow the goddess. You gonna, there's the beautiful side, loving, raising the children. There's also that killer. You see what I'm saying? Side also. Now. You're saying, well, if a man has sex with a woman and he does not know how to control his ejaculation, and that woman's black hole sucks in that ejaculation, she kills him every time he has sex. That's the killer. That's the Lilith. Man only can master that goddess when he learns how to not ejaculate. Otherwise, that black hole got it. And then you look up and you 75 and your husband been gone for 25 years. You killed him. Because he didn't know how to master the ultimate power in the universe. Proceed with caution. That's right. He didn't know about going about that black hole the right way. So if you really want to get down with it and stuff like that, you see what I'm saying? That's why, the Bible and the different things after, they wanted to shut down all that stuff. They made all that in the evil. See what I'm saying? She's the giver of life, but she can also take life too. You see what I'm saying? That's right. Anytime you bust a nut, she's just killed you.
10 minutes.
You see what I'm saying? In any kind of, in a certain way. We talking energy here. So you have to learn how to respect the energy. You see? So, Zarabanda, Aleba, Oshun, Ogun, Yinanya, Oyo, Abatala, Adudawa, Oshosi, Kali, Pan, Lakshmi, Urzulu, the fairy kingdom. You want to get in? That's your ancestors. That's your ancestors. Also check on these laws. Every morning we get up, we hearing this damn rooster in the middle of Atlanta, downtown Atlanta. We live in the city. We hear rooster crowing. First we thought it was spiritual. I said maybe that's Zarabanda, one of them things. They got the rooster. Check on these laws because they might have them up here in you have to check and try to study. They might have them in Philly. They might have them they got it in Atlanta, but they don't let you know about it. You can have in your yard so many livestock. Chickens. Guy had a rooster, he had a goat. You see what I'm saying? You can have so much livestock. Now I know some of you live in certain areas or whatever, but if you can find some dirt or whatever type, I don't know how it goes. If you so much live in a house, like Clemson Brown live in a house and stuff, so he could have some chickens, some goats. And they got these laws on the book, but that's the thing. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. They don't let you know about it. See what I'm saying? And these laws are there so whenever the shit gets sick, you can go out there and wring some chicken neck and keep on rolling. So we were out there, been hearing this rooster the last couple of months, and the guy cut our yard. We said, you heard the rooster? Yeah, we hear. He said, that's Bob over on the next street he got chickens, he got goats, he got a rooster. He said, he get ready to kill that rooster. He ain't going to be around long, so don't worry about him waking you up. He's going to be in the pot soon. The point I'm trying to make here is, when it comes to gardening, you know about that, say you can get your garden and you can get all that. They tell you about that on TV, but they don't tell you that you can have so many chickens, so much livestock. You see? So I'm just trying to say, I don't know what the laws is up there, but do your homework and check on that, because I'm just saying anything is an option. Now you might live in an apartment, you might not, but what you can do is you can co-op with some nigga with a house, and bring a few chickens over there and say, hey, put a band around his foot saying, I don't eat my shit. For every 5 chickens I got, I get to let you eat 2 or whatever. I'm just trying to say. I didn't know this. I didn't know this until 2 weeks ago. Had a goat back there, and it's perfectly legal. But the thing about it, they just don't tell you. I guarantee you go out on Long Island, in them Hamptons or what have you. You see what I'm saying? It's that way. You see. Plus they use all that for that magic too. Okay. Lamb, Awas, Owas, Idols, Zarabanda, El Cristo Negro, El Cristo Rey, San Simon, Los Spiritus and Tranquilos, Madre de Agua, Madre de la Luna, Mama Sholin, Ashe, Francisco C.H. Reyes, so La Santissima Petra Eamon, La Santissima Muete, Bass, Butchers, Adu, Soot, Setesh, Heru, Raheru Bahuya, Hamaku, Maya, Metatron, Metronet, Gabriel, Michael, Raphael, Daniel, Uriel. We're going to give a shout out to one goddess. This goddess here, this same one, came back to the earth on March the 3rd. I got this information from Sister Marilyn here. Her name is Ariel, the Lion of God. And probably, we're going to go into her science, All of this stuff that's been happening with this weather is this one goddess, which embodies several other goddesses. So what this is, it's like the grand finale of all these goddesses coming together, but they're coming together under this Oriel, the Lion of God, which if you trace it back to Egypt, it would be Sekhmet. This is Sekhmet's wrath. You see, so we're going to give a shout out to Oriel, Serket, Neith, Nekhebet, Uwajit, the three sisters, Nut, the great mother, Devi, Vishnu, Radha, Krishna, Hanuman, Ganesha, Dana Ishu, Simbi, Agwai, Dambalawedo, Edowedo, to all gods known and unknown. 1, 2, 3, start calling out your family members. One is passed on. Hemmitt family, Cheryl family, Davis family, Sister Burke. See, call them out. Don't act like you shame of them and stuff. If I can generate the whole, then I'm quite sure that these people are a little more milder than that. Okay. So all ancestors known and unknown. Ashe. All right. Giving a few things right now. I'm going to talk about this. Like I said, this is a very powerful tool. Make sure you leave here with one of these today, because this is another one that was given by the Spirit Word. Very powerful tool right now. It was given by the Spirit Word. But for those people, I want to put my information up. For those people also that's in TV land, you can also catch me at 678-358-1055 for these stimulus packages and rare picture packages. I couldn't bring the picture packages, but I do have the purple disc, the stimulus packages. I also have the Ganesha CD that whenever you put it on, prosperity starts, because Ganesha is the opener of the way. Prosperity starts. And I also have a Sacred Cosmic Womb CD. Now, two things happened. The brother Jeff back here sent me some cosmic sounds that was recorded from NASA. But what I didn't know, about 2 months earlier, I received this Cosmic Womb CD. And I realized, because I thought that the Cosmic Womb CD, that they was making this stuff out of synthesizers, until I heard it and I realized that the Cosmic Womb CD, they actually use the same recorded sounds of space as NASA. So now what this thing is because we got the purple disc, we got this black dot, which we're going to explain, the magic mirror, and we have the Cosmic Womb CD. But the Cosmic Womb CD is made out of actual space, how the cosmos sound out in space that NASA recorded, and they put this together as the Cosmic Womb CD. And what this thing it does, it's a cosmic womb. You play the CD, and basically you can go back in and you can rebirth yourself. Let's say if you want to get rid of some old shit. You see what I'm saying? You got to just become a new person. Well, if you go back into the cosmic womb, you can reverse yourself, you can heal yourself, and you can do a multiplicity of things with this. But the simple fact we're talking about the origin in the beginning. So we do have this Cosmic Womb CD. So we got the Cosmic Womb CD, we got the Ganesha CD, and we also have the stimulus package with the purple energy disc, or Technion energy, and we also have this, which we're going to get into as this magical mirror. Now, the brother already felt the power when he stood in front of it. That's the first. You saw that happen yourself. And what this thing can do, this is going to train your third eye. Now, when looking in your third eye, don't look for a Hollywood version of these visions. A lot of times, your third eye is open and it's going to come as transmissions and thoughts. And then the visions will come. But I do believe with this one here, if you get this, you're going to see the actual visions in this black dot, or this magic mirror. It's in a matter of weeks. And don't mess around and go get it laminated. You see what I'm saying? But right now you don't have to. But just take this and stuff, because the spirit world sent it. The spirit world sent it. And at the time, when the spirit world was sending it, brother called from Chicago, talking about a magic mirror. A couple of people called from all over saying, there's a magic mirror. This magic is called scrying, and all. About the magic mirror and stuff like that. So so the New Age people, you can buy a magic mirror, it might cost you $70. You see what I'm saying? But the thing about the magic mirror here is, it didn't have the power as this one, because this one is fashioned after the third eye. So let's get into some of the science right now. Y'all all right?
Yeah.
We're going to take a break soon, but let's get into some of the science right now on a couple of things leading up to this third eye, because that's what we're here to deal with today. We also have the third eye ritual, which if you get the magic mirror, you also get the third eye. They, also coming down with that too, the third eye ritual. Some of you got it the last time. Y'all all right?
No. Yeah. Bobby.
All right.
Bobby.
Now,
Let me change the tape.
Change the tape. Okay.